Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today is a very exciting episode as we do our first proper factory rebuild. But before we start, if you're enjoying the episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the episodes as well, it does really help. So today, as I said, it's our first true factory rebuild, and the car we're doing is the £5,309 buy from the scrapyard, the Hinata Moon MK2. We have already gone through the parts when we were in the scrapyard itself, and this is the car. They have been washed. You may notice from the last episode when we brought these, they look a little bit different. We have washed them, both of this one and the Bolt Chapman as well. I said we'll wash everything. It makes it look a little bit better. So the rebuild, this is our first proper true rebuild. I say it's true. We've done a rebuild before, but we didn't do painting or anything like this. This is the first one that's going to go on our list of top speeds and top track times, as you'll see later on in the video. For the rebuild itself, we'll start by taking off all the body panels. We'll probably do this differently every time. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in and how we do it, really, to be fair. As you can see, there's not a lot of stuff in the engine bay. It is lacking somewhat, but I suppose that helps us get everything off first. And a lot of the taking things off and putting things back on, we are going to speed up, not really fast, but enough. This whole rebuild, including track times and everything else, took around 2 hours. Yes, some of it obviously is me still learning, some of it isn't. So a 2-hour rebuild, I can't really put that in a video, so I thought we'll speed up some of it and cut out some of the bits that you probably don't want to see the mistakes. Well, I generally keep mistakes in, to be fair. But anyway, that's all the body panels off, so we'll start by taking the wheels. And at this point, we're going to take off the whole of the suspension. We're basically going to strip the car down to just the frame. And we're going to speed up while doing this. I'll still talk through it, it's not a problem. But I just thought you didn't want to see this slowly. It's better to do it a little bit quicker. So we started off by taking off the front right wheel and the braking system and suspension all in one. Now, I'm really looking forward to these rebuilds. If you aren't aware and you haven't watched the previous episodes, our plan with all the rebuild cars is we do a factory rebuild, so stock standard rebuild, with the engine that it says it should have. And then the next time we get the same car with the same engine, from a scrapyard or a barn or from anywhere else, we'll one-star every part in that car. And then we'll do the same thing. Then if we do it a second time, it'll be a 2-star, then a 3-star. Finally, once we've got a 3-star version completed, we'll then look to do a fully upgraded with every performance part going, performance body part. We'll do a proper true upgraded car. And all of these cars will go onto a lap time on the racetrack to see what time they get. I'll also do a top speed time as well. And I don't know, every 5 cars I might do an episode which is just a leaderboard of where we're at and see what's new and what's taken over. The tyres as well, something to talk about. The tyres will be whatever the factory standard says. So whatever we've taken off will be the same tyres going back on. So obviously some cars will have vintage tyres, which will provide less grip on the racetrack. I keep calling it test track, it's racetrack. Some will have sports tyres. So there's a small advantage there. I think a lot of the advantage is going to be shown through the cars themselves. I don't think the tyres are going to make that much difference. We're going to be pretty much like Top Gear, same driver every time, i.e. me. And obviously this game is designed about fixing cars. The mechanics and the way the cars handle isn't realistic to real life. That's to be expected. As we come out of the speed up now, we're just taking out the relay box, the fuse box, not relay, fuse box, and then we've got the radiator take off. And that is the majority of the car done. In fact, it is the car emptied, you can see. It's just a greyed out shell. But to be a 100% perfect car, and that's what we plan for every car, we do need to weld it. So that's £500 spent on welding it, which immediately makes it look 10 times better than it did when we first bought the thing. It's amazing how much a bit of welding does to the car. I think that looks pretty good. Oh, I've just noticed we missed a couple of things. So these little bay windows, or body windows they're called, we missed. front right. I bet there's one on the left as well. Just double checking there's nothing else we've missed. Obviously not fixable. But yeah, the car looks completely different after a little bit of welding. I think we did a good job. When we washed the car as well, we also did a interior valet. Just because then it's done, it looks clean already inside. So we need to take the rims off the wheels. We've got 4 of these to do. So as I was saying, I think there'll be an episode every 5 cars maybe. And we'll do an episode just on best laps, top 5 cars currently of top speed and top laps. Something like that. I'm not 100% sure yet. That's kind of my thinking. And in every rebuild episode, I'll say where it is on the ranking anyway. But we'll do a proper episode as well. Probably every 5 cars. And you can see which ones have gone into the top 5 from the last time. That's kind of my thinking. Hopefully that's the way it works. We'll see as we go forward. So that is the wheels done and the rims off. We need to fix everything. We need to buy new parts. But before we do that, let us go and take the engine apart. So this is the engine we took out of the car. It's only got 6 parts. So this is going to be a quick take apart engine. There's no point fast forwarding this. There's literally 6 parts on this engine and that is it. It's not much at all. Although the 6 doesn't include the gearbox stuff. I don't think it does. We could count. I'm not going to, but we could. But we'll take the gearbox side stuff off. But there wasn't much to it. Obviously, lots of it needs fixing. There's nothing holding the crankshaft in place either. So them 6 parts did include the gear side as well. So that is that done. So now we're going to fix everything, or we have fixed everything. We've bought some parts that we know we needed. We've checked in the warehouse for certain parts. This is us now putting the engine back together again. Sped up, not as fast as we've done previously, but enough to see what we've got to do and not to take 2 hours to do so. Quite a lot of the parts we had to buy brand new. We did have a few parts in the warehouse, not many though. We haven't done enough fixing and enough scrapyard and barn find visits to really have a massive amount in our warehouse. That will come in the future. I'm hoping we'll get to a point of being able to fix a car and not need to buy a single part. Although there are parts you can't fix, so pistons and stuff. I've also considered buying bulk loads of things. You don't get a discount for buying bulk, unfortunately. So things like brake pads that you know always need replacing. In my mind, you should buy a bulk load of say 10, 20 and have them in your warehouse. But there's no benefit or discount for buying in bulk, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd probably do that. It would save us a lot of hassle. But anyway, back to the actual engine we're rebuilding. So all the clips and stuff that weren't there when we took the engine apart, we've now had to buy brand new. All nice and shiny. It's a completely different engine already. And this engine, there's not a lot to it. It is a i4 DOHC turbocharged engine. As I say, it's the engine that came out of the car. We're putting the exact same thing back in. There's no upgrading, no starred parts. But it's not a massive engine. i4s aren't going to be big. And I'm not massively a fan of engines, but I kind of gathered very quickly the lower the number, the smaller the engine. But it's a nice looking engine. So we're just putting some of the final bits on the top and making sure we add everything to a shopping list. So we buy everything in one go. I'm trying and minimise the time we spend in the shop by putting as much as we need to into the shopping list, buy in one go, back out, put everything in, next load of stuff. That's kind of my thinking behind it. Doesn't always go to plan, but I think the majority of the time it does. So now we can put on, we haven't got the manifold cover, we haven't got any of this, so all this needs to be added to a shopping list, as you can see. We'll buy the parts. But the thing I'm really looking forward to is doing these rebuilds. Isn't really necessarily the money we're going to earn, because I'm assuming we're going to make a profit. It's more the racing around the test track, seeing the difference in the car's speeds, engine speeds and different things like that, and the top speed. I'm curious to see what the top car is, and because we're on PS4, there's no modded cars. This is just standard cars. The DLC cars that will be added, we will do them as well once we find them. The plan is to do an episode fixing them for customers, so we get to see them at least until we find one of our own. But lots of exciting things to come. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I hope you do, because I'm still very obsessed with this at the minute. So ignition coils need to be brought as well. There we go. Ignition coils can go in. So we've nearly finished with this engine rebuild already. Ignition coils going in now. And we just need the throttle as well, that's missing on the left there. So not a massive amount left to do. Throttle in. Perfect. So what else is left? Just looking around the engine, see if there's anything else. Still got the gear side of stuff to do, which is standard. There's nothing different really about these. Every engine has the same part, so it's nothing different to normal. We need to buy a flywheel. And some of this will be a lot quicker naturally just by doing it. So doing this now, voicing over what we did, I know now next time I can go into the shop part by part. And that makes no sense. In my head it did. And I can flick it across to gear, and I can buy all the parts in one that we need, because I now know what they are. When we did this, I had no clue. This was a massive learning curve. This is why it took 2 hours. There's a lot more I've done to speed myself up without making silly mistakes, although we still make them. But that will come with time and actually doing. And this is just the first part of the rebuild. This is just the engine. We still have the suspension to put back together, which is a big part of it. But engine need done. We just need a clutch release bearing, and I believe this engine will be finished. Yeah, off the shopping list. I like to have an empty shopping list every time. I don't know, it's just one of these little things I have to do. So clutch bearing in, and that is a nice shiny i4 turbocharged engine. That looks nice. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty happy with what we've done. It's cost us a little bit of money, but just double checking there's nothing else missing. No, I think we are ready. So we have fixed everything we can fix. We've got out of the warehouse any suspension parts we need. Now it's time to put things back together. I was thinking about putting the engine in first. I didn't. I'm in an hurry. We'll start with the suspension. Again, we're going to speed this up. And the game does make it a lot easier for people like myself that aren't massively into their cars to rebuild things. The greyed out area does help massively. There's still things you have to remember yourself, and there's things you have to get used to. Especially the smaller things like my nemesis, the rubber bushings. But once you get used to these things, life is a lot less complicated. So as we run through this, I'm probably going to stop talking while we do this bit, just to let you guys see how we did it, and then we'll be back in a little bit. So that is the suspension done, the exhaust done. Pretty happy. So now we can put the engine back in. And I made the first mistake of the day. I actually don't have the engine. It's still on the crane in the workshop. I keep calling it warehouse. Workshop. I hadn't taken off the engine crane. So that was our first mistake of the day. Not a major one, luckily. But do let me know what you want to see in these videos when we rebuild cars. These are things you'd prefer to see, prefer not to see. If you don't want to see the rebuild being done, sped up, you'd rather not see it at all, let me know. I'm more than happy to change things. Let me know in the comments what you think. And this is just reconnecting everything else now to the engine that's now back in the car. Obviously gearbox back on. And this is a front wheel drive vehicle, so slightly different gearbox to what we're used to. A lot of the vehicles we've used are rear wheel drive. So there's a drive shaft. This doesn't have that. And they do take a little bit getting used to, these different engines. Starter motor going on, that's important. Cannot forget that. That is an important one to do for us. Now, we've got to buy everything for the engine bay. It was missing all of it. So the ABS pump, all the liquid holders, none of it was in there. I would assume for realism's sake it doesn't have them because in the scrapyard they would deteriorate over time. They'd wear. This didn't even have a bonnet when we bought it. Or did it? I think it did have a bonnet. But even so, they'll perish. They're made of a light plastic that would perish over time. Either that or they were sold. I don't know. But we had to buy everything brand new filter box. They did have a base fuse box, which we took out quite early on. So now we're going to replace all the fuses. Quite important for the car to start. It's amazing how many little fuses there are, to be honest. I'm not 100% au fait with them all offhand, so I wouldn't be able to say, right, I need this amount of fuses and this different types for this car. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. I don't mind sticking them on a shopping list and buying them that way. It does make my life a lot simpler. And we got the coolant fan needed as well. It's all going in. We had an ECU put in as well there. So quite an expensive rebuild, actually, to be fair. More than I was expecting. We spent a lot of money so far. And it's going to get more expensive yet. But that, I believe, is most things apart from the wheels now back in. Just having a quick look round. But that is everything. So we're going to refill the liquids while we're here. It makes sense. So these can all be refilled now. And we are nearly done. There's not a massive amount left to do. Which we're up. This was around an hour and a half, maybe a bit less. Obviously the track times were different. While we're filling these liquids up, I'll talk a little bit about the track times. So we do have some rules. And I think when we do a video of the top 5 laps, that every now and then, I'll reiterate the rules. But the rules are simple. 5 laps, all driven by myself. That's it. There's no difference. Maximum of 5 laps. There's no less, no more. 5 laps, whatever time is the best time, come the end of them 5 laps, is the actual result. And the top speed test, we are going to bend the rules slightly for this, and we'll explain in a little bit why. But it is pedal to the metal, no steering input, hit the wall, that's your top speed. That's kind of the rule set I've kind of set myself. So it's all fair for every car. There is no tuning the gearbox, there is no nothing like that. Although we do make a mistake with this car, which I'll explain in a little while, and that will change things a little bit. But I think the result will still be okay. But liquid's all done, so now we need to do the tyres. So I've bought all the tyres, we've fitted all the rims, we've balanced all the wheels. They can all go on, nice and shiny looking wheels and rims. I'm very happy. This car is looking good. It's a nice looking car. It's a small car. It's not a very powerful engine, but it actually looks okay. I'm happy with our first true rebuild. I say true because the first one wasn't quite. We didn't paint it or anything. This car will be painted. In future episodes when we do rebuilds, my little boy is actually going to pick the colour. So look forward to some strange colours. because he'll be the one picking the colours. The first few cars we do will be just me. And I'm not I'm not into my cosmetic side of things, so colours for me, it's just whatever I think looks okay. But that is done. So, we're now on to bodywork. And we've fixed the bits of bodywork we had. We've took some stuff out of our storage warehouse that we can hopefully use as well. So now we're trying to put the bodywork on. So the things that come off will probably be the same colour as the rest of the bodywork. The new parts, which we haven't actually bought yet, so we've got to make a list as we go. So what we're doing is putting on anything we have and then putting new stuff on, or adding to a shopping list stuff we don't have. I think you'll be able to tell the difference between the colours from the warehouse to the colours from the car that was originally there, I think. But there's a bit of glass we obviously need because we can't fix that, so it won't be in the warehouse. There we go. I just thought it was easier to run around the car, try and put bits in. If we had them, we'll use them. If we don't, we won't. And if we don't have them, we'll put them in our shopping list. That just made a lot more sense in my eyes. I think I've just done something extra I didn't need to do there. Yeah, we didn't need a right front. I pressed it. The cursor was a little bit too low, so I missed the window. Rear right, door window. I'm a guarantee we haven't got one. There we go. It's a shopping list. Rear bumper. We don't have one. Shopping list. Tail light. Don't have one. Shopping list. You can see the pattern emerging, to be fair. Don't have a trunk. Shopping list. Left tail light. Oh, we do have. There we go. I don't know why we have one. Because you can't fix them. I'm surprised I've got one. But it must come out of the warehouse. Have we got the front left door window? Yes, we do. And the left mirror? We do indeed. They can be fixed. They're not too bad. Okay. So we need to buy the parts we don't have. And here is the Hinata Moon body shop. So everything we don't have is on the shopping list. Just to make it up, it's just easier to do it from a shopping list than to go round. If I had no body parts, I could just buy everything in one shot. But because we had some, I didn't want to keep going back and checking what we had and what we didn't have. It was easier to do it this way. There's probably quicker ways, and I'll probably figure them out as time goes on. But this was the quickest way for me. As we buy the trunk, I've already spotted something we didn't buy that I think we're going to need, but we'll see that in a second, I'm sure. So, right headlight goes in, nicely done. License plate, we didn't buy, that wasn't what I was thinking. I've just realised my mistake, but I'm sure I'll fix it. Wing mirror, right body window. Them tiny windows are so easily missed. Right door window, there we go. We've got a rear bumper. Trunk can now go on, and that's what I was thinking. Trunk window, didn't buy it, didn't think about it. Number plate, obviously didn't get, so let's just finish off putting everything we have actually got. I think, little window here. Left body window, they're so annoying, the little windows. So that's everything bar number plates and rear window. So rear window we should be able to buy from here. Trunk window, I put it rear, it's trunk window. And then we've got to get Australian license plates. That's what we're on the car, that's what we're buying. As I said, this is a factory rebuild, so we only buy what was originally there. It's Australia, Tasmania number plates. 2 of those. And you can see our money is slowly going very, very down. Very, very down? Very low. I was starting to be a little bit concerned of lack of money. Because there's one area of the car we haven't done yet. We need £1,000 to actually paint the car. But there's an area of the car we haven't done anything with. We've sold all the parts as we've gone to just enable us to continue buying the parts we needed. And you got to think, we started this episode with a decent amount of money. It was around 18,000, just under £18,000 in the bank. So I thought that'd be plenty. We soon realised it was a little bit short of what we wanted. So we need to put everything on a shopping list for the internals. This is the bit that was worrying me. We haven't got much money in the bank, yet we need to buy all the internal parts of the car. And getting out of looking at the internals is a pain, admittedly. But let's have a look how much they're going to cost us. So this is in interiors. We've never really had to deal with interiors before. And that was something we didn't change in the first our test rebuild. We didn't change the interiors. Okay. We need 2 seats. And we've got £141 left. As you can see, that's not enough money to buy the last 2 seats. We can buy the rear seat and the steering wheel, but we won't have any seats for the front. So unless you've got incredibly long legs, this doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go and sell a few bits on our warehouse. Rims are the big thing for money, and we'll come back with enough money. So there we go. We've sold a few rims, we've sold a few little parts. It's not something I wanted to do. It was something I wanted to avoid doing, but we ran out of money. Lesson learned. Just under £18,000 is not enough on the car. I thought it would be. I honestly thought it wouldn't cost us more than that. But because everything needed doing, fixing parts, buying new parts, it was always going to be a little bit more than we were hoping for. But there we go. I think the car is done. Can't think of anything else. I think we've finally done the car. We can have a quick look. That's done. It should tell us condition. So it'll tell us how much the car's worth. There we go. It's worth £58,378. Bonus. So now I want to paint the car. We've got £2,000 in the bank. We need £1,000. So we've got plenty of money. So this is my interpretation of what the car should look like. I kind of had a little look around some colours, spent a bit of time, and this is what I came out with. A metallic green. I don't know why. I actually liked the black with the red bit originally, but I just thought we'd have a look at metallic. I think it looks okay. Maybe a bit garish, but it's not too bad. We're selling it, so we're not keeping it, so it's all good. Inside looks really nice and clean. I do like the detail inside the cars. They are all different depending on what the car is, but it is a nice looking internals. And we're going to take the car to the racetrack. So we're going to see the hot lap, the best lap we managed to do out of the 5. And for this car, it was actually the last lap. We've done 4 previous laps. I'd slowly learn the car. And this is where I noticed we'd done something wrong. So we haven't got the dyno for our garage yet. Dyno also, not the dyno, sorry, the test path we haven't got. Dyno measures the engine. The test path though is where you calibrate the wheels. You might see me having to keep correcting to the right. This car goes to the left, and it's because we haven't calibrated the wheels, because we haven't got the ability to, the means to do so. We haven't got the money for it. So we are counting this car as its factory rebuild hot lap, as is, with a slight deviation that the car is going to be a little bit slower because it is leaning to the left. I don't think it's going to be a massive difference though. We'll know when we find a 1-star build, I suppose, how much of a difference it is. But I didn't know this till I was doing it, and I didn't actually click originally how bad the leaning was. It becomes worse in the high-speed test. But this lap is going to count for the fastest lap. Again, like I say, it was the last lap we did. Our best currently was a 2:06.6. I don't even know what a good time is around here. I know there's an achievement for under 1 something. Under 2 minutes. Something under 2 minutes is an achievement or a trophy for achieving a lap time in under that. So that's kind of my aim. But I would expect some cars to be better than others. But so far so good. The racetrack itself, I keep calling it test track. The racetrack itself is a fairly good layout. It does test you. You have to remember corners, pick your braking points, and each car brakes differently. There are some cars you'll see later on in the episodes that don't brake. It's really bad. As we come across the line, just one more corner to go, we're going to set our first time for our hot lap cars of a 2 minutes 4 seconds .455, and that is our best lap. Now, top speed challenge. Again, this is going to be a separate list of cars, and here we go. Normally I won't touch steering on these. I think you're going to go a little bit slow if you steer, and at high speed you might veer off, but I had to correct a couple of times because of this car going to the left. So we're bending our rule a little bit, but so whatever the top speed it says at the top of the screen, when we hit the wall, that is what we count. It's in kilometers per hour. I'll give the other time in miles per hour as well. But here we go. We are getting towards the end of it. End of the track is coming up. And what are we going to finish at? It always looks quicker in kilometers per hour, by the way, just so you're aware. Miles per hour a lot lower than kilometers. So here we go. We're going to hit the wall, and we're hitting it at 197 kilometers per hour, which is 122.41 miles per hour. So a little bit different. But that is our best results for every car so far. Luckily, there's no damage if you crash in top speed or racetrack. Thank God for that. So that is it. That is our rebuild for today. So we bought the car for £5,309. We spent £20,061 on parts, which is a total spend of £25,370. We are going to sell the car for £58,378, which gives us a profit of £33,008. So I estimated the 18 grand we had at the start of this would be plenty. It turned out it wasn't. We were short by 2 grand. £1,000 of that is paint, admittedly. But we're going to double our money. We spent 25. We're selling at 58. Just over double your money by the end of it. £33,000 profit. We've got a little bit of money in the bank at last. And as we look at what we could buy next, we are just going to go through the achievements. So we earned the achievement as trophies for Great Roll, which has earned £50,000 on selling cars, and Car Flipper for renovating and selling a car. I don't know why I didn't achieve that on the previous one we did as a test one, but there we go. So that is it for this episode. We have finished our Hinata Moon MK2 factory rebuild. I really enjoyed doing it. Next episode, we're going to do the factory rebuild of the Bolt Chapman. And we'll see how that time compares to the lap time of the Hinata Moon. It will look a little bit better than it looks currently. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.